All right. Well, I wanted to turn our attentions to the NFL and Mike Florio. If you don't read or follow Mike Florio, you really need to do yourself a favor and start doing that because he's one of the most well-spoken, most well-written gentlemen in the media, in the establishment media. And he works for the NFL on NBC, which is, of course, the home of Sunday Night Football for the NFL. And Chris Sims, Phil Sims' son, they do their show together, Pro Football Talk, on the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. So Pro Football Talk is all a part of NBC and back and forth. But I regularly follow Mike Florio, and this article caught my eye for interesting reasons, I will say. You can see the headline, NFL's global competition includes cricket.
What?
Well, color me curious, Nika. I was actually shocked to hear this statement, and I think it says a lot about a couple things. One is my own lack of knowledge about just how big internationally cricket is as a sport. It's completely unknown to me that it has this immense popularity worldwide, as we're going to learn about in a second. And
Well, it's not being promoted in this country at all.
it is, and it's also a reminder too of just how I feel like in a pretty long amount of time now, especially with the modern communications and everything going on with internet and satellites and everything that come out of the last 50 years, it's like the rest of the world still hasn't caught up and embraced American sports as much as Americans have. So it's just an interesting thing to me because I tend to look at our sports as the best sports in the world.
That's because you are from here and this is what you know and you grew up with.
I understand that I might have a bias or two. Nevertheless, I can't help but notice when I watch other sports, Olympic sports, sometimes it's just like nothing feels like baseball or football or basketball or has that majestic quality to it the same way.
Sure. I agree with you.
So anyways, this article caught my eye because we know that the NFL has been going to London and they're trying to expand and they want to make the brand a little bit more global. They went to Brazil last year. They've been doing these out of country game events and promoting the growth of the game. You know, they want every brand now is fighting to become a global brand. I feel like whether you're a sports brand, an entertainment brand, a technology brand.
Globalization.
We are a small planet. We really are when you think about it, even though I just brought up all of the limitations of spreading sports that we've encountered in the last 50 years. But nevertheless, we are getting smaller by the day because of this technology. So if we get into this article here, it says the NFL wants to become a global force and the primary competition is soccer. Well, that should surprise nobody because, you know, even I know of how big soccer is worldwide as a kid growing up in this country, that it wasn't one of the primary four sports here of baseball, football, basketball, and hockey. You know, soccer was always kind of fifth fiddle, if you will. And I know that's not a phrase, but it is now. All right. But there's another sport that is more popular than our most popular sport, too. As noted by John Orend of Puck, the Indian Premier League's final match generated 169 million viewers. That's more than 30 million more than the Super Bowl and the most watched cricket event in Indian history.
That's
so
interesting.
Color me fascinated, folks. I didn't know that our most watched event, the event that companies pay through the nose for ad time for, falls short to cricket worldwide. I mean, it just makes me wonder, like, where are the amazing commercials for cricket? You know, like, shouldn't they be having an even bigger commercial presence than the Super Bowl if they're generating more viewers, more eyeballs?
Oh, maybe they do. We just don't see it because we not being exposed to that.
Well, it certainly is not popular here.
No.
That's for sure. Because I mean, I didn't even realize this. And we're pretty tuned into most all sports media websites. So India's population exceeds 1.4 billion. That's just to put that into perspective for y'all. That's about, if my math is correct, almost 4 times the amount of people that are in the United States. If you go at 350 million. Now I know it's growing every day, but so is India. So good luck keeping up. That's more than 3 times the size of the United States. I'm going to say 4 times. But so there's greater saturation of the American market by American football. No kidding. Still, as strange as it sounds, there are bigger sporting events than the Super Bowl. And that is strange for me to say, honestly, because I would never have thought that. Orund raises the question of whether it's time for cricket to make a dent in the American market. But the broader reality for the NFL is that there's plenty of work to do to take a dent out of other sports that currently generate far more interest beyond our borders. If the NFL can pull it off, $1 billion business will become $1 trillion business. And you can see what's at stake financially for the growth of the game. You know, anytime you're going from, 12 digits financially to 13 and beyond, you know, you're entering from billion to trillion. I mean, that's crazy to me to see sports being talked about in the $1 trillion numbers, but it's only natural, right?
It's natural, and it also opens up doorway to the new markets. I don't really see Indians playing football, not yet. But maybe in a few years, who knows?
Yeah, it'll remain to be seen. You know, I think he brings up a good point. Is cricket going to make a dent in the United States? Like, I don't know. I'm speaking at it strictly from the standpoint of we follow a lot of sports here and a lot of online sports websites and commentary. And this is the
baseball.
first time I've heard a cricket story like we're talking about in 3 years of coverage of most sports. And like, here we are talking about it only because of the fact that it's mind-blowing to think that more people watch the cricket finals in India than watch the Super Bowl.
I know, and the Super Bowl was broadcasting on the whole globe because I talked to my cousin during that. When
it was on Tubi. So yeah, we live in a bubble here in the United States.
We do.
And this kind of proves it in a way because the most popular sport in the world, the second to soccer, is not any of our own. And yet, I think you would be hard-pressed to find a population here of like less than 75% that would choose our sports over cricket or soccer.
I know. And when you look at baseball nowadays, how much of the audience they have been losing because of the slowness of the game, I cannot imagine cricket being much faster.
I
I mean, really don't know.
The numbers in cricket are so crazy, and they get into the hundreds pretty quickly, and you know, it just makes you wonder, like, is it about the big numbers? Because that's not baseball. Baseball kind of is like all about low numbers and holding the team to less hits and low runs, and cricket, it seems like you want to score as many runs as possible, and it's more of a higher scoring affair.
Right. I don't know the rules of cricket at all, and I'm not going to get into it. It just seems to me it's more of a standing around game that's just like baseball. You can look at it with different scoring mechanisms, but I just don't see population getting into it. If they cannot get into baseball, what makes you think they're going to get into the cricket?
That's not going to stop them from trying,
of course
Nika,
not.
because, you know, I got curious after I saw this article from Mike Florio, and I was like, you know, what's going on with cricket in the United States? Because I don't want to. I know his intention of bringing up this article was because the NFL has competition globally when it comes to growing, and by saying that, so does Major League Baseball, and so does National Basketball Association, so does NHL. If you want to be honest, all of these leagues are trying to expand and become global brands, just like Coca-Cola wants to be a global brand, and Pepsi wants to be a global. Everybody wants to be a global brand. Kanika Sports Show wants to be a global brand.
I'm right.
Not denying it, but the point is in doing so, you have to know who you're competing against here. And I didn't realize that cricket was so big, and I wanted to get into. So I got curious, and I was like, does cricket actually stand a chance of expanding into the United States? Well, I didn't even know this. There's a cricket league already in America, Nika. And this was from the Times of India. So it shows you where you have to go to find information, exclusive information. Cricket in America is a sleeping giant. Matthew Mott eyes long-term success with Seattle Orcas in MLC. That's Major League Cricket. Matthew Mott, now coaching Seattle Orcas in Major League Cricket, shares his vision for growing cricket in the U.S. Oh, interesting. He emphasizes building a team-first culture, nurturing local talent alongside international stars, and providing better infrastructure for player development. Mott believes MLC can inspire young Americans and create a sustainable cricket ecosystem, ultimately feeding into the national team. Interesting. He's a renowned Australian coach, Matthew Mott, who led England to a T20 World Cup title in 2022 and the Australian women's team to multiple World Cup wins, has taken charge of the Seattle Orcas for season 3 of Major League Cricket. So this is just in its infant stages here, the 3rd season, and they're now attracting international coaching talent, at least. And I think that's probably a good step.
I think so.
You know, we've always talked about how American coaches need to go over to Europe or other parts of the world possibly and teach baseball to actually get people interested. And here you have that theory kind of being proven true by this coach says, yeah, I need to come here and spread the game.
Of course, this is the same way when you want to spread the world for baseball. You want to go to the country, bring your experience to that country that has no clue about baseball and start teaching. They're not going to find within their country.
Sure. But we do know that Europe has a baseball league that plays, and at least it's further along than cricket is in America. But nevertheless, you don't really hear anyone talking about European baseball league is like commentary, and you're not going to get the same thing in American cricket probably.
Most likely.
All right. Well, I wanted to skip a lot of this interview and just focus on what we were talking about, which is like growing the game in America and how is this going, so to speak. And this was written by Hajam Raju Singh, by the way, timesofindia.com. And he asks the question, what are the opportunities and hurdles in growing cricket in the United States? I prefer focusing on the opportunities. Events like the Olympics and the T20 World Cup in the U.S. provide a global stage. When I coached the Australian women, we had 80,000 people at the MCG for a final. That's how a sport explodes. Once Americans experience the skill and excitement of T20 cricket diving catches, barehanded fielding, six hitting, they'll fall in love with it.
Oh, so there are different techniques. So you field it without the gloves.
Well, and what does six hitting mean? Let us know in the comments below, because I don't know what it means. A cricket in the U.S. is a sleeping giant. Sure, there will be ups and downs, but with smart owners and long-term investment, I truly believe the game can grow here. Strategic alignment across franchises and the national setup will be key. Yeah, and I also think you need to figure out a way to combat Major League Baseball, National Football League. Like, they're not just going to bow over and let you take fans away from them.
Yeah, their share of the market, no. You have to carve your own.
It's going to be tough.
It is. Look how long it took soccer to get recognized in here.
It's tough, you know, and I still think it's not very popular, even though I know it depends on what part of the country you live in. But what role can a league like MLC play in building a cricket ecosystem in the U.S.? And the answer, MLC is crucial. Just like the IPL inspires kids in India, MLC can inspire kids here. It makes the game visible, local, and accessible. Young boys and girls can now dream of representing Seattle Orcas or playing for the U.S. one day. They can catch world-class talent in their backyard. This kind of exposure blended with local heroes is a recipe for growth. Over time, this can feed directly into the national team. I understand what he's saying. And again, you're still going to have competition with baseball being on TV and basketball and football. And it's just going to have a bigger TV presence than cricket is here. Even on social media and other places, I just think it's going to have a hard time reaching. I'm not saying it's impossible.
It will reach some audience, but is it going to take over as sports in this country? No, absolutely not.
I don't know if this league is going to last, to be honest.
Yeah. It's like pickleball.
What do local players need most to reach international levels? Infrastructure is key. Most young Americans tell me they just want more time on turf wickets, better net and center wicket facilities. Indoor training is good, but nothing replaces time on quality outdoor surfaces. The move to drop-in wickets helps, but consistent outdoor training is the game changer. Training under match-like conditions regularly is what will drive player development the fastest. I mean, what sport doesn't need this? I guess is kind of my point. And I think if he's relying on America to provide quality playing surfaces for young kids and stuff, like, you're in the wrong country. I hate to break this to you the hard way, but America doesn't really invest money in these things anymore. And it's sad that they don't.
It is very sad.
But it is just a fact of reality. And I think if they're relying on any kind of community partnership or any reliance on that front of it to grow the game, yikes. You're going to need private contractors and landscaping companies to invest in these facilities with the community or a select group of parents. I don't know.
Bring your own coin purse because you're not going to get it from the government.
You're not. Definitely not. I mean, look at the baseball fields.
Oh my gosh.
You know, what role can experienced coaches like yourself play in this journey? For me, coaching is about sharing knowledge, building trust, and guiding growth. I prefer a collaborative style. Ask the players where they want to take their game, help them identify strengths and areas for improvement, and be a sounding board they can rely on even outside the tournament window. You can't overhaul a player in a short tournament, but you can give direction. Sometimes just sharing a video of a similar player can trigger growth. And being available to talk even after the tournament is how you build something meaningful and lasting.
If they want this to succeed, they need to start this early in school, like a T-ball for the kids over here for baseball. Right. They need something like this because when you get older, kids will not play this. I'm sorry.
I know. And I have a hard time in this day and age. I think if this was 50, 75 years ago and it was like, hey, let's build a bunch of cricket fields for the kids, maybe that might have a better opportunity. But this is not that.
It's not. And you're competing with social media, with technology, with other sports. And you're bringing, I don't know how old cricket is, but it's an old ass sport.
Yeah. I mean, baseball devolved from cricket and rounders and other games from that part of the United Kingdom. It's where it all came from. I guess I'm just wondering, why has our sports not gotten more gravitas internationally? Are we really that biased that we think they're better and they're not? Or
I think the only sports that crosses every single country is soccer. Every single country plays some kind of a form of soccer. Football is very American.
I'm still just, I guess, more flabbergasted that out of all the stories in the world I expected to run across this week, I never would have guessed that cricket has the second most eyeballs on it when it comes to television internationally, you know, and
maybe because it's on the other side of the globe. A lot of times
it must be, but at the same time, you know, with all the walls that YouTube and the internet have broken down about what's happening just globally around the world, this has not permeated the landscape of what we see, and yet it feels like it should have. We follow sports all the time. We are almost enamored with sports all the time, and yet this eludes us. Like, it's really weird to me. It's really weird, and I guess I just want to understand it more. I want to understand it more. I want to understand how somebody watching cricket and watching baseball at the same time would choose cricket over baseball. I just want to understand. Is it because you don't understand the baseball rules? I know they're convoluted. I know they can be complicated. I don't understand the cricket rules and the scoring, so I don't follow it because of that. And
cricket is not being marketed over here because marketing people didn't realize there is a market for it yet.
Is there, though? Or is it just too impossible of a nut to crack with all of the history of our own sports? And it's ingrained, like it's handed down from like father to son or child, you know?
Exactly.
You take your son or daughter to a ball game with you and you share the experience of it, and you share the enjoyment of sport and competition, and you learn about the fairness in sport and why it's important to be a good sport. And
okay.
Dave Roberts, are you listening?
What you just said, it's passed down through generation. If you start cricket early, then it may become a thing. Right now, it's not, because kids don't know how to play. Probably most kids don't even know what it is.
Not here.
Not here.
But I'm sure they do in England and India.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So that's what's interesting about it. I feel like at one point or another, it's going to come to a
screeching halt?
Well, it's going to come to a point, a head. It's going to be like, is the world going to play baseball or cricket? Because there's not room for both.
There's room for both. There's room for both.
All right. Well, let us know what you think in the comments. Is cricket going to take off in the United States? Is it is it going to maintain its position in the world as the number 2 overall sport? Or is one of the American sports, primarily the NFL, going to be able to crack into that top 2 threshold, I guess, and become, like Mike Florio said, $1 trillion entity as a league?
Well, NFL is being marketed a lot better than cricket, for starters.
100%.
So if going based on the numbers, then the marketing will win over other half of the globe, and the NFL will become the global brand.
I feel like at the end of the day, our human nature goes back to Gladiator in the Coliseum.
Exactly.
And what do you want to watch? Do you want to watch
bloody sports?
11 on 11 shoulder pads, helmets hitting each other?
Absolutely.
Or do you want to watch guys with crochet mallets hitting balls?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
We want the man and man hitting each other, showing us the muscularity of the game, not the should I hit this or not?
All right. Well, I can't top that. So again, let us know your thoughts in the comments, guys. But yeah, cricket could be coming soon to the United States. We'll see.
I'm skeptical. With NFL.
I'm skeptical. I'm going to continue to watch baseball.
Yeah.
And I'll be watching football in the coming weeks. And, of course, my WWE. Much more realistic.
See, there you go.
Much more realistic.
Another reason why people watch WWE, even though it's fake.
Theatricality and deception are powerful agents.
Exactly. We want to see the people hitting each other, the fights.
Yeah, even if it's pretend.
Exactly. Cricket has no chance.
You heard it here first, folks. Feel free to disagree, though, in the comments.